I think I have some, since I've taken your class, I feel like I've developed some more rituals to be more of a noticer and more connected to myself in a way that kind of breaks the structures that I've inherited. And I think one of those, which we were just talking about before the interview, was prayer and sort of coming back to center and realizing that we're small compared to this universe. And even in that realization, there's so much gratitude. And I think gratitude as a lens could be very useful. It could be a perceptual position. And I feel like I constantly try to create new rituals that break me out of my patterns. But I think the important thing is noticing the patterns. Do you have any rituals?
Oh, like you, I try to do them constantly. And it is striking, and I mean this literally when I first started reading these classical Chinese philosophical texts, striking in the sense that I realized the degree to which, I'll just give a standard example, like when I would walk to the bus when I was young, or now when I walk to school to teach, it is amazing how little of the world we actually see. It is amazing in our daily relationships the degree to which we're really not connecting to those around us whatsoever. And once you begin to sense that, and once you begin to do these rituals that are all about training you to really try to connect and really try to see the world, it changes everything. So like you, I'm doing this constantly. Just when sticking with that earlier example, if I'm walking to school to teach in the morning, I'm training myself to actively begin to see the world. When I'm interacting with people, I'm trying to train myself to actively do so. I think prayer is a wonderful example where you're developing, as you said, the disposition of gratitude, which is something we would like to say we feel all the time, but we really don't. And you're actively cultivating that. And once you're cultivating through ritual these dispositions, these sensibilities for the world, those around one, then it just becomes slowly a part of your everyday existence, where in our mundane living, suddenly you are, well, not suddenly, over the course of the training, you begin truly connecting and seeing the world and feeling gratitude and seeing the larger world as opposed to simply what I need
because
right now.
All kind of walk around sort of unconscious.
Exactly.
And I feel like even putting myself in your Chinese historiography class or going into something like a poetry class, which I'm taking this semester, which I wouldn't have usually taken, just exposing myself to these new ways of seeing so that I can do even like close readings in poetry where it just feels like nothing is beneath the attention of a poet, and having to extract meaning and come at it through a posture of humility as a perceptual lens, where you're not sure where meaning might appear, instead of kind of leading with a posture of authority, which sometimes we're encouraged to do, like, you know, have a position, defend it. But I think having humility as a perceptual lens is so much more generative.
I think that's a beautiful way of putting it. And I love your image of reading as a ritual. And I think that's right. I mean, we're often trained when we read, and I'll give a standard example, a classroom example, where you'll be assigned a text and the training is, I'll flip through it quickly, find my line on it so I can say, this author is wrong because of X. And then I raise my hand, say that because I've proven my authority, and then I've done my work. And on the contrary, if we think of reading as a ritual, and I think poetry is a perfect example of this, to read poetry, we are training ourselves to focus on every word because it's written by a poet who did that. And it's focusing on every word, focusing on the nuances. It takes reading and rereading. Every new reading, we see depths that we didn't see in the original reading. And it forces one to not come in and be the authority, I'm going to say X. It rather makes one be the figure who's listening and learning from the piece. So I love this. I think reading should be thought of as a ritual, and poetry is a great example of something that really pushes that upon us. It forces us to be open to what it's doing, because if we go in with our standard authoritative mode of reading, you literally cannot make sense of a poem.
It feels like everything we've talked about sort of comes back to this idea that to change how we live, we have to change how we see. And I really like that in your teachings, that change doesn't have to come from these big shifts, but it actually comes from these small daily ritualistic shifts of changing how you notice, changing how you respond, changing how you reflect, that break us out of the patterns that we fall into. And even seeing life as a process of transformation than this teleological thing where we have to achieve certain goals. So yeah, thank you so much for making all these complex ideas so accessible and easy to apply.
But thank you for all that you are doing, truly. Going back to the classroom, you've clearly developed a practice wherein in the classroom, you sense the discussion going on, and you just sense perfectly how to raise a comment, how to raise a question that opens up the entire discussion. And that's a sign of someone who is actively putting this into practice. So thank you for all that you're doing in the classroom.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for these discussions that you're organizing, and thank you for all of the pedagogical work that you are doing for the world.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for being our first Society for Perception Studies speaker.
It is truly an honor, and the good news is by starting with me, there's no place to go but up. So